Hello, hola, bienvenidos. Welcome back. As you guys can see from the title, today we are doing some comparisons and swatches of this new Natasha Denona My Dream Palette. As you guys can see, I have yet to play with it, yet to touch it on purpose, waiting for this video. I have seen that it is being compared to the Glam palette as well as the Retro palette. So I'm going to do some swatches for you guys. Swatch the new palette, obviously, and then see if there are any similarities amongst any of these three palettes in front of me. So if that is something that interests you, stay tuned. But first, if you're new, welcome. Alejandra, I go by Alex, eyeshadow enthusiast with a dash project pan. If that is something you want to continue to see on your feed, subscribe and join us. And now let's get on with this comparison video. All right, so I have zoomed you guys in, and this is what the palette is looking like, you guys. So here are the basics for you guys. This is her, not her large palettes. Obviously, this is like her midi palettes. The prices have gone up from $65 to $69. What makes this palette unique from her other ones that are this size, there are two multi-chrome shadows in this palette. This palette right here was created with Natasha Denona's vision. This is like her favorite palette, her dream palette, and she wanted to bring it into reality. It is beautiful, you guys. I personally purchased this palette, one, because I wanted to review it for you guys, but two, anything that I do purchase to review, it is a palette that I actually want to have and use, not just for review purposes. I didn't purchase this palette for the multi-chromes in it. Obviously, I have a ton of palettes in my life where I could find that, or I don't even need this, but I love the quality of Natasha Denona shadows. This may seem boring to some of you guys, but to me, this is beautiful. I actually, dare I say, this might be my favorite neutral palette that she has come out with so far. And you'll see what I mean when I compare it to the other two palettes that this is being compared to. So before I go into the other palettes and comparisons, let's swatch this palette. So then that way you guys can see it in all its glory and see the swatches as I start out. Now I'm going to start out from the bottom and move my way up to the blackest black, because I have a feeling that is going to stain my finger. Now here's the swatches of all the shadows here. I purposely went in with a very, very light hand. As you guys can see from the black, it still shows up even though I went in it, like, I mean, super, super soft. I did not go in it too dark or too deep. If I were to push down on these shadows a little bit harder, I definitely would have came out with a more vibrant and more saturated pigmentation to these. But this is like a gentle grazing over each of the shadows. You guys can see that there's not much disturbance, and you can clearly see there was not a lot of powder kick up because I did not push down on these that hard. But you can see that all of them still show up even with a light hand. And I like to show that because if you are light-handed or want a soft look, I want to see if these shadows will do that and show up with a light touch. And even the black does show up. So that gives me the indication that these shadows built up, their intensity is going to be even more. All right, so let's start out with the first palette that it has been compared to. I'm going to zoom you guys in so you guys can really see them close up. So here is the Retro palette, and here's the new Dream palette. This, as soon as I saw this palette come out, I thought, oh, the purples in here match rather much with this one. Like, I thought about this one. But if you look at them both, I feel like the Retro is more cooler toned, And the Dream is a little bit more of a warmer tone feel to it. Even the three purples that you have, like 1, 2, and this one's kind of like a blackened brown purple, they don't really match here. Here is more red based than purple based. As you guys can see, it's more burgundy, more red with purple in it. And this one is like true plum. Like this is an actual plum shade. This one's more of the closest raspberry shade. Even the shimmers don't even look that close enough to any of these. But I'm just going to pull some that might look close to each other. So then that way we can take a look. So the first one I see is this one right here called Instinct. I figured this one would look most like Rebellion or Groove. And you guys can see right there, it does not. This one is from the Dream palette. These two are from the Retro palette. So you're not getting exactly, like I mentioned, this one looked more raspberry to me, and these two look more plummy. So there, yep. Even in the swatches, it shows it. So here you have the Dream palette, and these two are from the Retro palette. This is more red base, this is more purple base, and this one's a lot more raspberry. I'm looking at this one in Serenity in the Dream palette, and I'm comparing it to Jude in the Retro. And you guys can see that the one in the Retro is a lot more silver cool toned, and this one's more brown taupey based out of the Dream palette. And it shows it has a lot more plum to it too. You could see the difference. This is from the Retro palette, and this one is from the Dream palette. They may look similar, but they do have different shifting. And this one's a lot more intense as far as the shimmer goes. Hello from the Retro palette may seem very similar to Babies from Dream. So let's swatch Babies and Hello. Nope, they look different to me. This is Babies from the new palette, and this is what is this one? Hello. Hello might actually seem more like Serenity. Nope, it still doesn't. Okay, so here you guys have it right there. This one is Babies, and this one is Hello from the Retro palette. They have a similarity, but the one from the Retro palette is a lot more pink, baby pink, salmon-y pink, and this one's a lot deeper in the Dream palette. Might not be showing on camera, but in person, I definitely see a difference. And even the shade Hello from Retro, it's still not the same as Serenity from the Dream palette. And the one last one that I might seem, actually there's two more. So here, the Nude Mauve out of the Retro and Nurture from the Dream. Nurture is a lot warmer, and then the Nude Mauve is a lot more cool tones. You can see right there. There is just definitely the Retro is a lot more cooler toned than you have it in the Dream palette. You can see the difference right there. This one's a lot more purple based than the Nurture one. And the last one I want to share with you guys is this one, Risk. You might think it looks like Patty. Totally different. It's more red based. Even if I were to go into maybe Rebellion, it's still not the same. See the differences right there? So this one's from the Dream palette, and then these two is from the Retro palette. So right there, these three give a similar effect, but they are different from one another. This one's a matte, these two are shimmers, and this one's a lot brighter, the one in the Retro palette, than Risk from the Dream palette. All right, the last one I want to share, because I think I saw one more, is Go Go from Retro and Carpe Diem from the Dream. Nope, still not the same. Guys, she did a good job by not repeating her shades. And those two right there, see how different they are? This one's pinkier, and then this one is definitely more red based. So here are all the swatches in comparison. You're getting a similar vibe, but not exactly the same. So by looking at the swatches and looking at these two palettes, the conclusion I've come up with is the Retro palette is definitely more cool toned overall. It has a lot more red tone, undertone to it than the Dream palette. The Dream palette is definitely a lot more warm tone. It leans more neutrally pink, not pink, more, it definitely leans more warm toned. It doesn't necessarily have these lighter, brighter, kind of cooler shades in here. It's very, very different from one another. I will say though, you are getting similar vibes. So if you prefer a warmer toned look, I would say the Dream Palette is for you. Cooler toned, I would go with the Retro Palette. But I'm not getting exact dupes at all, and I'm getting different undertones is the major difference between both of these. The other palette that this was described as would be the Glam palette because it has those neutral kind of colors. Tell you off the bat right now, they are very different. Again, this is a lot more cooler toned. This one's a lot more warmer toned. You're getting more color in this one than you are here. And here it's a lot more icier. It looks a lot more icy than this one. This one looks more warm, obviously. So if I were to compare any of these shades, let's start out with Center Eyelid, which is right here. Compare it to Thrill. You can see right there, this one is Thrill and this one is Center Eyelid. Thrill is a lot lighter in shade. It's not as deep gold as Center Eyelid right here. You can clearly see the difference right there. This one's from the Glam palette and this is from the Dream palette. I actually prefer this one from the Dream palette. It's really pretty. It's like a pinky gold. Look how pretty that is. I would assume you would think Blend from the Glam palette and Nurture is the same, but obviously it is not. Blend is a lot lighter and Nurture is a lot darker in the eye. Yeah, you could definitely see that right there. See here, this is from the Glam and this is from the Dream palette. Maybe on the eye, those might be the same, but in swatches, they are different. Inner Corner, and maybe with Spontaneous. Ooh, they look very, very similar, but Inner Corner has more pink to it. And the Spontaneous has a lot more peachiness to it. So let's see when we swatch it. Yeah, these almost can be the same, but you can see the difference. This one's a lot pinkier and this one's a lot more goldeny warmer toned. I don't know if the camera will catch it, but I can see that this is a lot more pink and then this one's more gold. But I think that these two can maybe possibly, depending on what else you pair it with, it might end up looking the same. Let's do Center Eyelid off of the Glam and Serenity off of the Dream palette. Nope, that's very, very dark. Serenity's dark, so let's go with Brow Bone maybe? No. This one's from the Dream. These two are from the Glam and they're still not looking exactly. Yeah. Nope. Those three are very, very different. Would Outer Lid with these two maybe? Let's see. Nope, this one's the one from the Dream palette, and these are all from the Glam palette. They're still looking different. I think that might be it, you guys. I don't see too much similarities between both of these. There are some lids that are shadows that are questionable, like these two right here. These two can kind of pass along as the same. These mattes right here could be very similar on the eyes. But it's not much. Again, this is more neutral, more cool, a lot more cooler toned. This one has a little bit more color into it, and it's definitely a lot warmer toned than you would see in the Glam. All right, you guys, so here are the three palettes together. As you guys can see, there is not one palette in here that's better quality than the other. It's all personal preference. Comes down to personal preference. 1, do you love the Natasha Denona shadow? 2, I have heard that her deeper shades, especially the reds, can irritate certain individuals' eyes. So that's something else you have to consider if you have sensitive eyes, because this does have at least 1, 2, 3-ish colors that have a red base to them. 3, consider whether you like a warm tone palette or a cool tone palette. The Dream palette is definitely warm. The Glam and the Retro pull more cool toned. Do you like color in your palette, specifically reds and purples? If you do, this might be the palette for you. The black is the only one in any of these palettes that it comes in. This is the first time I've seen a black in one of her midi shades. And it is a very deep black. That black may be a game changer for some of you guys. There is no light brow bone shade like there is over here. There is over here. This one does not have that. This one has multi-chrome shifting shades in them. If that is something that interests you, maybe this might be the palette for you. Maybe the tri-chrome one was just too expensive since that one's $130 and you still wanted to try out the shifting shades from her. This may be the way to go to try them out. Overall, I am happy with this one. I love the retro. You guys, I've told you before, I'm not a mauve tone person, but this one is by far my favorite mauve tone palette. You can clearly see that it is well loved. I enjoy it very much. This was the palette I am actually thinking of using for the 2 weddings that I do have in October. Now that she came out with this one, I might be considering to add mixing these 2 palettes together. I think that mixing these palettes within each other, I think it'll be a lot of fun because you get that cool warm tone, still the neutral vibe with pops of colors in them. I love this one. It's beautiful. I cannot wait to put it on my eyes. I first wanted to play around with it, comparing it to the other palettes for you guys. It's up to you guys. I'm not here to tell you guys you need to have it. It's a definite must-have. You know your own preferences. You know what you want. You know what you're looking for. If this is a palette that you're looking for, that you see that it'll give you value in your collection, or you just want to have it because you love her formula, or you want to give it a shot because it has a little bit more colors that you would go towards, I don't think you will be disappointed. Yes, there are the cream to powder shades in here. From what I've been feeling, I could definitely tell you these 2 are cream to powder. This one's more powder. I think these 2 mainly. I don't see any other ones that might be cream to powder, but I could be wrong. I have to use them on my eyes to let you guys know. I'm happy with it. It's $4 more than I typically would have spent on the other 2, but I don't think that's still breaking the bank. If $65 isn't breaking the bank for you guys, $69 would not be breaking the bank. Yes, I do think that on Black Friday, she will have an awesome sale. If you want to hold off for Black Friday, she may do a triple bundle of all 3 of these for a really good price if you want to hold off. I would highly recommend, if you are looking for Natasha Denona Shadows palettes and you can't splurge on them with the original price, wait for Black Friday. She does one of the best Black Friday sales that I have known. I've taken advantage the last 2 years, and that is how I've been able to build my collection of Natasha Denona Shadows. That's it, you guys. That's all I have to say. Leave me down in the comment section if this is a palette you're interested in, if you're going to pass on it. Everybody's different, and I respect everybody's opinions. Everyone likes different things, and that's why I love Natasha Denona, because she does cater to a lot of different audiences when it comes to her eyeshadows. So I'll leave this palette down, and actually I'll link all 3 of these down in the description box if you're interested in checking it out. That's all I have for you guys. More videos on the screen for your enjoyment. Until then, adios.